Hello class 9th, I am Ashok, your English teacher, present here with a new video for you. Today I will discuss the story In the Kingdom of Fools from the book Moments. Although we have discussed this chapter in online classes, what I am making this video to make you understand the story very well. This video is being made as part 1 as it is quite long story. So let's begin with the title. Kingdom means a particular area which comes under the ownership of a king. Fools means stupid persons or unintelligent people. So this story is about a king, his minister and subjects who were all fools. It is believed that fools are so dangerous that only very wise people can manage them. Who are the fools in this story? What happens to them? It is to be found in the story. So we will find these things after reading the story. Now let's see what's there in the text. In the kingdom of fools, both the king and the minister were idiots. They didn't want to run things like other kings. So they decided to change night into day and day into night. They ordered that everyone should be awake at night, till their fields and run their businesses only after dark, and go to bed as soon as the sun came up. Anyone who disobeyed would be punished with death. The people did as they were told for fear of death. The king and the ministers were delighted at the success of their project. One day a guru and his disciple arrived in the city. It was a beautiful city. It was broad daylight, but there was no one about. Everyone was asleep, not a mouse stirring. Even the cattle had been taught to sleep by day. The two strangers were amazed by what they saw around them and wandered around town till evening, when suddenly the whole town woke up and went about its nightly business. So some difficult words are there. Tilb here means to cultivate land for farming. Stirring means moving around. Guru means ascent. Amazed here means shocked and surprised. So these were some words which might be difficult for you. Now I will tell you what was there in this part of the text. So in the kingdom of fools, the king and his minister both were unintelligent. The king and his minister did not want to run their kingdom like other kings did. So they decided to do something different. They started treating night as day and day as night. They ordered that the work which was done at night would be done during the daytime, and the work which was done during the daytime will be done during night time. They passed an order that everyone in the kingdom would work at night, nobody would sleep at night, the farmers would do farming at night, and the ones who ran business would do business at night. As soon as the sun rose, everyone would go to sleep. If someone would disobey the order, he would be punished with death. The people were scared that if they did not obey the king's order, they would be sentenced with death penalty. So they obeyed the order, although it was very strange. The king and his minister, both the fools, were very happy that all the people in the kingdom were following their order. One day, a saint arrived in the kingdom of fools along with one of his disciples. He saw that it was a beautiful city, it was a sunny day, but could not find anyone around. They were surprised, everyone was asleep, and the writer says that not a mouse was stirring. Stirring means moving around, so they could not find a single mouse moving around, which means that it was so quiet as everyone. Even the tiniest creatures, the mice, were asleep. The people had taught their cattle to do so. These two strangers to the kingdom of fools were not aware that this kind of order had been passed in the city. So they were surprised to see that everyone was sleeping during daytime. They kept on wandering around in the whole city, and as soon as it was night, everyone woke up and started doing their work. Businessmen were doing business, and farmers were farming. So, this was there in this part of the text. Now, we will discuss the next part. The two men were hungry. Now that the shop were open, went to buy some groceries. To their astonishment, they found that everything cost the same, a single dudu. Whether they bought a measure of rice or a bunch of bananas, it cost a dudu. The Guru and his disciple were delighted. They had never heard of anything like this. They could buy all the food they wanted for a rupee. So these two strangers, Guru and his disciple, were very hungry. When the shops opened at night, they went to buy groceries. Groceries means food items. They were surprised to see that whatever they bought from the shop costed one dudu. The things were very cheap. Cheap. Whether you buy a big bunch of bananas or you buy a big bag of rice, it costed only one dudu. Dudu means money in Kannada language. So in Kannada language, to money, dudu is called. Everything was at the same price in the kingdom of fools. The Guru and his disciple were very happy because the food in this kingdom was very cheap. You could buy a lot of food just for a rupee. So this was there in this part of the text. Now let's see what is there in the next part. When they had cooked and eaten, the Guru realized that this was a kingdom of fools and it wouldn't be a good idea for them to stay there. This is no place for us. Let's go, he said to his disciple. But the disciple didn't want to leave the place. Everything was cheap here. All he wanted was good, cheap food. So, in this part of the text, we read that when the Guru and his disciple cooked and ate their food, the Guru realized that the kingdom was a kingdom of fools and he decided not to stay there any longer because it was unsafe for them to stay there. The wise Guru told his disciple that the place was not right for them and asked him to leave at once. This disciple was a foodie. Foodie means who eat enough. He loved to eat, and that is why he did not want to leave this place because the food was very cheap there. The Guru said, they are all fools. This won't last very long, and you can't tell what they will do to you next. But the disciple wouldn't listen to the Guru's wisdom. He wanted to stay. The Guru finally gave up and said, do what you want. I am going, and left. The disciple stayed on, ate his fill every day, bananas and ghee and rice and wheat, and grew fat like a street-side sacred bull. So, Guru tried to make his disciple understand and told him that everyone out there was a fool and were dangerous. The kingdom would not last for a long time and they could harm them too. This disciple is not foresighted like his Guru and could not understand what his Guru was trying to say him. He wanted to live there only and enjoy the cheap food. Finally, the Guru left alone, leaving the disciple behind. The disciple stayed back in the kingdom of fools. Every day he ate a lot of food, due to which he becomes fat as a huge bull. Now let's see what is there in the next part. One bright day, a thief broke into a rich merchant's house. He had made a hole in the wall and sneaked in, and as he was carrying out his loot, The wall of the old house collapsed on his head and killed him on the spot. His brothers ran to the king and complained, "Your Highness, when my brother was pursuing his ancient trade, a wall fell on him and killed him. This merchant is to blame. He should have built a good strong wall. You must punish the wrongdoer and compensate the family for this injustice." So some difficult words are there. Pursuing means to follow. Ancient trade means refers to theft here. Now let's see what was there in this part of the text. One day a thief entered a merchant's house. He made a hole in the wall to gain access. When he was about to move out of the house after looting all the things from the house, the thief's younger brother went to the king and complained that his brother was following his ancient trade, although the ancient trade was robbing, which was a crime. While he was working, the wall fell on his head and he died. The thief's brother was taking advantage of the king's foolishness. He said that the merchant whose wall has fallen down on his brother was the real culprit. He should have made a strong wall. He requested the king to punish the merchant and get compensation for his brother's death. Now let's see what is there in the next part. The king said, "Justice will be done, don't worry," and at once summoned the owner of the house. So the king was so foolish that he did not consider the fact that the dead man was committing theft at the time of his death. He only thought that the man died because the wall fell on him and the owner of the house whose wall fell on him had to be punished. So he called the merchant. Now let's see what is there in the next part. So when the merchant arrived, the king questioned him, "What is your name?" "Such and such, your highness." "Were you at home when the dead man burgled your house?" "Yes, my lord, he broke in and the wall was weak. It fell down on him." The accused pleads guilty. "Your wall killed this man's brother. You have murdered a man. We have to punish you." So in this part of the text, we read that the king was as soon as the merchant appeared, the king asked his name. Then the king asked him whether he was at home when the dead man, the thief, was burgling his house. The merchant replied that he was at home only. The thief made a hole in the wall and entered his house, and when he was trying to go out, the wall fell down on him because it was quite big. Then the king told the merchant that he was guilty. He did wrong due to his weak wall. The thief died and now he would be punished. Now let's see what is there in the next part. "Lord," said the helpless merchant, "I didn't pull up the wall. It's really the fault of the man who built the wall. He didn't build it right. You should punish him." "Who is that?" "My lord, this wall was built in my father's time. I know the man. He is an old man now. He lives nearby." So in this part of the text we read that the merchant pleaded in front of the king and requested that it was not his fault. The wall was weak because the person who made the wall did not construct it properly. Hence you should punish him. So he wanted the king to punish the bricklayer, and further he added that the wall was made during his father's time. The person who built it was very old. He knew him as he lived nearby. Now let's see what is there in the next part. The king sent out messengers to bring in the bricklayers who had built the wall. They brought him tied hand and foot. You there, did you build this man's wall in his father's time? Yes, my lord, I did. What kind of a wall is this that you built? It has fallen on a poor man and killed him. You have murdered him. We have to punish you by death. So, in this part of the text, we read that king sent his soldier to call the bricklayer who built the wall. They tied his hands and feet and they brought him in king's palace. The king asked him that did he build the wall, and he replied that yes, he did. The king said that the man had built a weak wall. The wall fell on the poor thief's head and killed him. The bricklayer would be punished for this with death. Now let's see what is there in the next part. Before the king could order the execution, the poor bricklayer pleaded, "Please listen to me before you give your orders. It's true, I built this wall and it was no good, but that was because my mind was not on it. I remember very well a dancing girl who was going up and down that street all day with anklets jingling, and I couldn't keep my eyes on my mind on the wall I was building. You must get that dancing girl. I know where she lives." So, in this part of the text, we read that everyone is passing on the blame to another person. When the king was about to pass an order to execute the bricklayer, he requested the king to listen to him. He agreed that he did not make the wall properly. It was because of a girl who was roaming around in the street and her anklets were making a jingling sound. Due to her anklets' jingle sound, he was not able to concentrate on his work and so built a weak wall. It was not his mistake, it was the fault of the girl. He added that he knew where this dancing girl lived. She should be punished instead of him. And now let's see what is there in the next part. You are right. The case deepens. We must look into it. It is not easy to judge such complicated cases. Let's get that dancer wherever she is. So the king was satisfied with the bricklayer's explanation. He was convinced with him. He tells that this case is very complicated and will not be able to solve it so easily. He ordered his messenger to get the dancing girl. Today we will discuss only this text. The next part of the text will be discussed in the next video. As a homework, you will write summary of discussed part in your notebooks, and you will also note down the difficult words meaning there in your notebooks. That's all for today. Thank you. Have a nice day.